And there's an idea that people often split into two groups. A small minority who seems to thrive and a large group who never fully realize their potential. So, from your perspective, what factors cause this divide and how can someone move into that thriving minority of the successful ones? Dr. Whyte, how do you define a worthy ideal and what does progress look like on a day-to-day basis? And many people struggle to define what they truly want in life. And if someone feels directionless, what strategies or exercises might help them pinpoint clear, meaningful goals? Welcome to the Mastermind Institute, where we celebrate mastery. And there's an idea that people often split into two groups. A small minority who seems to thrive and a large group who never fully realize their potential. So, from your perspective, what factors cause this divide and how can someone move into that thriving minority of the successful ones?
I came across this Instagram post that I sent to you where you have three people, all of them with an arrow, and there's this target. And like the large majority, they don't shoot. They spend their life not shooting at the target. Large majority. I think it was like 50, 60, 70% or something like that. Then in the next majority, like it's like 10% or something ridiculous like that, like 10%, they shoot once, miss, and that's it. And then in the last 1%, they shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot until they hit the target. And it's just like 1%. And there's so much stuff like that will paralyze you from taking the shot. There's so much stuff. And this is why I'm saying this is an important part. Like, we've got to stop being afraid that you're going to miss. You probably are going to miss. But the next shot will probably be a little closer or it might be further. But I tell you what, you're on the path to winning. While you're not taking the shot, you are at your destination of failing. You're at the destination. I'm being a little facetious right now. But I tell you what, missing, quote unquote, failing, it's almost like you are on the path to succeeding. And so it's really staggering that it's only that 1% that keeps shooting and shooting and shooting and stomaching the pain because it's not fun to fail. It's not fun to get it wrong. I don't know why we like to romanticize it sometimes. It's unpleasant. But you keep at it, and you hit that bullseye. Oh my goodness. It is absolutely out of this world.
About 95% of people never quite understand that we as individuals, we control to an unexpected extent our lives here on earth. And while the smaller group, the 5%, does, right? So what we really need to do is to understand that through the way we think, we can really impact our emotions, our actions. And sometimes people think, well, I simply would like to do this, but I would like to have that, but they constrain themselves. Why? Because it's the way they're thinking. So, if we really want different results, it all starts with the way we think. When we focus on the results we want, when we focus on the success, better days are ahead. So, welcome to the Mastermind Institute, where we are talking about how to master the basic fundamentals of life. And a key concept here is that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Dr. Whyte, how do you define a worthy ideal and what does progress look like on a day-to-day basis?
I really love that question. How do you determine that something is worthy? Well, I'll tell you this, you can't determine what's worthy if you're not reflecting. This is why it is so critical to pause. And as we mentioned earlier in the program, why your writing game needs to be so on point. And by writing, I mean like journaling. Like journaling can seem like something so weak, But journaling allows you to externalize your thoughts. It allows you to interrogate your thoughts because you get to see it on paper. You're like, I don't like that idea. And you can modify that idea, and you obviously modify it internally. You can also track your progress. But the other thing it allows you to document is that time is going, time is moving. So, one of the ways to figure out that something is worthy is as you look back on it and as you project forward, are you really going to feel like this is significant and this is worthy? Worthy of what? Worthy of your time and worthy of your resources. When you look back, are you going to be happy with that purchase? We're happy with that investment, happy with that project. And part of worthy is even if it doesn't succeed, was the effort meaningful? Okay, was the effort meaningful? So those are important steps you can take in making sure that what you're doing is worthy. These are all things that we talk about in our membership. And this is not, this is not just some little plug. It's just that I've taken the time as a psychiatrist to say, what is it that really helps? How is it that people can position themselves to live a life where they feel fulfilled? And I put that into an experience. um well, this is a big topic, and that's why one has to be so systematic in ensuring that they have a compass, a north compass. They have a method and a system to say this is meaningful. And when I look back on this 10 years, 20, 30 years from now, I'm going to feel like, this was a worthy struggle. So journaling, I think, is super important. Reflecting, I think, is really important. Reflecting on the past, being understanding your present, but then interacting with the future. I just got to say this real quick, Sandra. Sandra, have you ever listened to people who are really and truly high achievers?
Absolutely.
They constantly talk about the future. It's like they live in the future.
They need to. They need to. That's why they have the results they have, because they are focusing on celebrating the win they already see in their mind. That's why, for me, it's so simple as that. It all starts in the mind. It all starts with how you think. What you focus on grows. What are you thinking most of the time? Ask yourself, what are you thinking most of the time? Are you complaining? Are you feeling that you are the victim? Are you thinking about lack of resources, politics? It doesn't matter. Focus, take your
El-
responsibility.
Elon
Take
Musk,
your responsibility.
Elon Musk, love him or hate him, right? Love him or hate him, but he's living in the future. Like, who's thinking about the fact that the planet's going to die? Like, who's no? Well, we need to be thinking about multi-planetary living. We need to be. That's the future. And now this is apart from him. Here in Southern California, we have mountains, right? And when you drive through these mountain communities, the Big Bear, and I guess I haven't been to Mammoth, but I'll use Big Bear as my example. You see these like huge cuts in the mountains, and you see these thriving communities up there, and you realize that the person who started that initiative, they probably did not get very far and died before the vision was even realized. How noble! How noble that you were committed to a venture you knew you wouldn't even benefit from, but it would help you, humanity, like because you were living in the future. I'm saying this is one of the things that you see leaders are able to do. They live in the future. And I'm just got to add this other part as well. You don't arrive at the future accidentally. You
You
do not
drive.
arrive at meaningful outcomes accidentally. And when that happens, it's very rare. especially when you have really, really awesome, when you talk about, hey, we're going to, I don't want to use that as an example, but when you talk about maybe, I don't know, separating Siamese twins, or you talk about some of these groundbreaking, things, it took a lot of effort and focus on that outcome. You don't win an NBA championship accidentally. It just doesn't happen. It's dedication, effort, and focus. Uh,
Commitment.
living in that future, and, and
Absolutely.
and and working in the present to fulfill the future. By the way,
Yeah.
because just living in the future is actually delusional.
Absolutely.
That's
You
the
need to be
yeah.
responsible. You need to be responsible. How do you eat an elephant, right?
One bite at a time. One bite at
Absolutely.
a time.
And many people struggle to define what they truly want in life. And if someone feels directionless, what strategies or exercises might help them pinpoint clear, meaningful goals?
You know, so there are two approaches. Because I think as people go through their day, especially if they happen upon a block of time, they're like, well, what do I do with this time? What's the best thing to be doing right now? One thing that I do is I'll consult the calendar. Like in that block of time where you're trying to figure out, hey, what's the best thing I can do? Well, what is a deadline that's coming up? What is a deadline that's coming up? Because when you get a block of time, there are so many things vying for it. There is amusement, there is scrolling, there is sometimes time traps. Sometimes it's binging on one of these streaming services. I'm not going to give any free advertising and mention names. But you got to ask yourself, how will I feel at the end of those, as opposed to when you dedicate that block of time to a deadline, to how tomorrow's going to unfold. When that deadline comes and you've actually put the work in, it feels so good. It feels so good. For those of you who might even do a little food planning for the week, and on Monday morning, the shoes might be by the door, or the report is in the briefcase by the door. You'd already chosen your garments. In the process of choosing it, you saw that there was maybe a hole, or maybe it hadn't been dry cleaned, or there was a stain that you didn't see, but you saw that the day before, and so you chose the right garment. That Monday morning when you wake up, you feel so good. This is free therapy. This is free therapy. So one of the orienting things is being able to consult the calendar, see what's the deadline that's coming, and devoting time to that next thing. Now, to benefit that, you then have to actually put things in the calendar so that you can then consult it and it can orient you to what you need to be doing. What's your trick, Sandra? Because you are efficient.
I plan in advance. I plan in advance, and planning for me is really important. And I'm really strategic about my priorities. When we spoke earlier about worthy ideals, for me, I plan in advance, considering my priorities. And also, I incorporate my values in all my decisions, my priorities. It's for me is so important to act according to what I really need to do, what really sets me apart from distraction, from things that do not fulfill my purpose in life. And so I'm really strategic with that. I use my phone, I use my agenda, I use all the things I need to be accountable. And at the
You,
end of the day, I look at my agenda and check, I check all the things I had to do. And if I miss, it happens. I know that I will miss the bottom tasks on the list, and I'm okay with that.
now you binge on Netflix all the time, right?
Sorry, sorry.
You binge on Netflix all the time, right?
Oh, no, 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 no. I don't even. I don't even watch Netflix. I don't watch television at all. At all, at all. So I don't need. It's not. There's nothing there for me. There's
Well,
nothing there for me.
I'm sure the viewers are asking the question then, how do you relax then? How do you
Well, do you
unwind?
think that watching Netflix is a good way to relax?
That's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. I think every service designs itself to be effective. So these series are designed to suck you in and they don't let you go. And what'll happen is nothing's wrong with taking a little 30-minute break. Nothing's wrong with that. The problem becomes when it's 4 hours later, when it's 2, 3 hours later, and it's designed to do that. So one of the ways that I kind of have figured out to kind of escape the clutches, if you will, of like some of these series is I don't make it my goal to stop at the end because they often have a cliffhanger at the end. A cliffhanger is like, it's a no-brainer. I got to see what happens next.
Yes.
No, I like to stop in the middle. I like to stop in the middle. So as it's going, and especially once when the cliffhanger is resolved, and so what they'll do a lot of times is they'll resolve the cliffhanger further into the series. Sometimes they resolve it right away at the same time, but I like to because usually there's a little lull in the middle or around there is a lull, and so that's a great place to escape. You see that scene change, and hey, this is a good place to pause and let me get out of here. To answer your question, the fundamental problem with television, with a lot of these series, these streaming services, is they are taking advantage of our fantasies, right? They're taking advantage of their fantasies. Like a lot of times, if you really pay attention to the subtext, it's a fantasy. A guy is trapped, an attractive guy no less, is trapped with an attractive young lady in an elevator. That's a fantasy, your child is kidnapped and you just happen to be special forces trained, that's a fantasy that you would have a challenge that you are so equipped with. They talk about the reluctant hero, these kind of sub themes. So what I'm getting at is deep down, this is the life we fantasize. Now, I could watch a fantasy or I could create my fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always ask, what's in it for me? And Netflix has nothing there for me. So in my time, it came to a point in my life that I'm really, really responsible for my time. And my time is really expensive. So I don't
True.
lose time. I don't lose time with things that do not add value to my life. So how do I relax? I relax when I'm investing in myself. I relax when I'm studying something that I really love, that helps me grow, be a better person, help others, serve better. This is when I relax.
So your relaxation is actually productive.
Always, always. Don't. If someone comes to me and say, "Hey, Sandra, let's go out, let's have a dinner," and if I have something to work on, that I'm focused, that I would say I need to work.
So you hear this, gentlemen? Now, all that said, though, there is a circumstance where you would accept that invitation.
For instance, for a conference,
For a
something important, something that I will learn, something that I'm there, front row. And invite me
Obviously,
for something high
meaningful,
level that
meaningful.
really adds up to my life.
But I'm just saying, from a romantic standpoint, obviously, if somebody stepped to you that you were actually interested in, you would be like, "I'm interested." It would be worth the investment, right?
This scenario, yes,
Okay.
probably, if that's the
All right.
right
I just
person.
I just want to make sure that people listening don't think there's no point in approaching her. That's not true. That's not what she's saying. But what she is saying is don't waste my time.
Don't waste my time. Don't
Don't
waste
waste
my
my
time.
that's what I'm.
There's no way. I would not I would not allow, because I own my time.
Yeah, don't waste my time. No, no, I hear that. I hear that. So I hope that you guys are walking away understanding you could watch your fantasy or you could create your fantasy. And I'm not talking about anything like derogatory. I'm talking about financial independence. I'm talking about command of your time. I'm talking about having the resources to apply them to what you value. I'm talking about power in every sense of it, spiritual, relationship. Like, so to me, that's the true fantasy. And don't let anything steal that from you. We are at our highest energy level when we're creating. When we are
Yeah.
creating and when we're creating at a high level, it feels good. It feels wonderful. So excited that you could spend this time with us as we more and more share with you the ideas that we think are going to be so helpful as you commit yourself to transforming your life. Make sure you follow us, be sure to subscribe. Some of you may have some issues and things that you're struggling with and want some consultation. And so there will be a link so that you guys can pursue a consultation with me. Of course, I'd be honored to serve you, and look for the next episode where we are going to continue this journey with you, helping you master your mind so you can master your life. Till next time.